Today we are exploring the true desire behind Mashiach. Is it about desiring the miracles, the wonders, or is it about desiring that intimate, irreplaceable relationship with God in its full expansiveness? When you've experienced learning Torah and getting lost in the depths of its waters and having its truth wash through you and feeling that inner fire and connection to God that really only Torah can bring in its unique way, or lighting Shabbos candles and doing a mitzvah that makes you feel alive with that connection with your source, that is the true desire, the true energy that is pulsing through us of wanting Mashiach. The whole world wants Mashiach. It's the only thing that's being talked about, whether or not people realize that's what they're talking about. It is the truest desire of the hour, to tap into the true ultimate peace, which is God coming into his world. And so as we're preparing ourselves for this ultimate redemption, we're going to be learning this talk today that really helps us tap into what is it that we are yearning for. What is the desire for Mashiach according to the Rambam? What is the true reality of Mashiach, and what is it that we can really get excited for and actually do the inner work to prepare ourselves for? So the Rebbe said the most direct way to bring Geula is to learn about Geula and Mashiach, because our desire for it is actually what allows it to manifest itself in the world. In many ways, God handed us the keys to redemption in our relationships, in our lives, and in the world. And so this is an incredible responsibility and opportunity to be living in this time. And so we're going to be looking at Likutei Sichos, volume 18, the second Sicha for Parshas Balak. It's entitled defining the true identity of Mashiach. So let's dive in, and I highly recommend opening that source on Chabad.org. You can listen to, volume 18, Likutei Sichos, the second Sicha for Parshas Balak, to be able to follow inside, because it is quite textual, but either way, let's go on this journey together. I'm excited. Oh, where's my tab? Here it is. Okay. So, when we talk about Mashiach, we're not just talking about a topic. We're talking about the absolute purpose for creation. So in many ways, it's the topic. And what the Alter Rebbe says is like this. One of the Hasidim of the Alter Rebbe asked him, when's Mashiach coming? And the Alter Rebbe said, the Mashiach that everyone's waiting for, he isn't coming. And the Mashiach that is coming, nobody wants. And so how can he come? Which is a really puzzling expression, almost startling at first, right? The Mashiach everyone wants isn't coming. What? And the Mashiach that that is the true Mashiach, nobody wants. And so what he's referring to is this idea of what do we want? What do people want? We want miracles. We just want Gili Elikos. We want huge revelations. We want a higher power to sweep into our lives and take away all our problems and to have candy floss. Right? There's that part of ourselves. It's just I can't handle gullus. I can't handle exile. So I need something to come and just candy floss my life. Please just make it sweet. Please just make it that I don't have to do all this inner work or struggle in these ways. And it's all legitimate. But what the Alter Rebbe is trying to bring out is that that's not what Mashiach's about. Mashiach is about having a panemius, an intimate, face-to-face relationship with God, through Torah mitzvahs, through the blueprint, and have God said, this is how you can connect with me. So what he was saying is that understanding what Mashiach is has to come from this very mature place of wanting the true Mashiach, not just wanting this general concept of Mashiach or something that's just sweep into my life on a rope and change my life forever. No, it has to be an actual relationship with ourselves, between our godly soul and our animal soul, an actual relationship with Torah and mitzvahs, and an actual relationship with who Mashiach is and what is the redemption that he's bringing to the world. So let's dive in. So we're going to look at Parshas Balak. And in Parshas Balak, there is this incredible prophecy that Bilam says. So Bilam is kind of the main character of this week's Parsha. He is hired by the evil king Balak to go and curse the Jewish people. So he's not such a great guy himself either. But because he wants the fame and the ego, and he just can't resist Balak, he's like, okay, I'll come along, even though he knows that he can't really curse the Jewish people because he knows that we're blessed by God. But he goes along anyways, and what ends up happening is that he's brought up to this place of idol worship very high up, so he can see the Jewish people who are trying to cross through the land, on our way to the Holy Land, on our way to our mitzvah, our mission of Torah and mitzvahs in the Holy Land. And there he can kind of see the edge of the Jewish people, and from there he tries to curse us. But what happens? The brachas come down. All the brachas. Literally some of the greatest brachas we have as the Jewish people come out of Bilam's mouth because, of course, Hashem overrules him and overrides his system and causes it that blessings come out of his mouth instead of curses. So that's what we're reading this week's Parsha. Definitely worthwhile to go hear the Torah and experience these miracles, these blessings being brought down. And one of the things he mentions there is one of our core sources for Mashiach within the written Torah. So what does he say? Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. Okay. I see him, but not now. So this refers to King David, right? And the next line, I perceive him, but not in the near future. So here, Bilam is prophesying about the two main kings of Israel. Okay, the two redeemers of Israel. The first one is the King David, who's going to be soon, right? Not that far later in Jewish history. I see him, but not now. I perceive him, but not in the future. But not in the near future. Like, I see him, but like it's gonna take a few thousand years. And this refers to the anointed king, Melech HaMashiach. So he's prophesying about Mashiach. And all of these prophecies that we're gonna look at together, it's the prophecy of contrasting King David, who's the first redeemer of the Jewish people. Sorry, not the first redeemer of the Jewish people, that's Moshe Rabbeinu, but the first king, the first Melech of Israel, and the ultimate king of Israel, who is Melech HaMashiach, the king. And Mashiach literally just means the redeemer, the anointed one. And by the way, the word for that, anointed and joy, are very connected. So yeah, get excited. Okay, so that's the first one. The second prophecy that's about both King David and about Melech HaMashiach is a star shall go forth from Yaakov. This refers to David, King David, and a staff shall go up from Israel. This refers to King Mashiach. And we're going to explain what all these mean when we get through this journey of this talk. The third prophecy Bilam says here is, he shall crush Moab's princes. This refers to King David, the Rambam says. As is written, he struck down Moab and measured them with a cord. He shall break down all of Seth's descendants. This refers to the King Mashiach, about who is written, he shall rule from sea to sea. Yeah, that's the truth right there. The fourth thing that's said about Mashiach here is Edom will become an inheritance. This refers to King David. As written, Edom became the servant of David, his enemy. Seir will become Israel's inheritance. So this idea of servants, right, is about King David, and this idea of Israel's inheritance is referring to Mashiach. Liberators will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esav. So what we want to understand here is that this is a very long quote for the Rambam to bring. If the Rambam just wanted to bring this idea about Mashiach, just put the first line, put the last line, that took 2 minutes to read. This is full paragraphs, lots of details. He brought the full text, which is, if you know the Rambam, just not the Rambam style. The Rambam is, so what is the Rambam coming to show us here? The Rambam really wants us to understand that this is not, first of all, that Mashiach is integral to all of Torah. And if we go a little bit higher up in the Rambam, what it says there is that if someone denies the coming of Mashiach, meaning a Jew does not believe in Mashiach, that we're going to have this ultimate era of redemption and a third base of Mikdash and a king in Israel and peace will reign and there's going to be rulership, holy godly rulership from sea to sea, all of this, all things that Mashiach embodies. Then not only are they denying the prophets, because the prophets, the Nevi'im, it's all about Mashiach. But they're also denying the entire Torah and Moshe Rabbeinu, right? The one who gave the Torah. And then the Rambam brings these proofs of seeing this idea of Mashiach literally in Torah Shebachsav, in the written Torah. And so what we're learning here is that the idea of Mashiach is not sprinkles on a nice cake called Judaism. It's the entire cake. Like, this is it. What is the entire goal? Is to have a home between God and the Jewish people where we can actually have a home in this world and we can celebrate our relationship, this absolute yichud and unity of our body, our soul, our entire being, humanness and holiness, all of it, as we connect with our source, with our love, with Hashem. And what is the pathways for these connections? What is the wedding ring? It's Torah mitzvahs, and having an ability to do these Torah mitzvahs. And so the Rambam is showing us here that Mashiach is not just, a nice idea or an aspect. The Rambam is saying here, this is absolutely integral to what Judaism is. Like, what is the purpose of all these Torah mitzvahs? It's to build his home with us in Hashem. What is the purpose of yearning for Mashiach? It's not about waiting for these grand miracles to come and change everything. Will there be grand miracles that change everything? Probably. But, good miracles. But what is the purpose of all of it? Like, if there's fireworks shows, that's great. There's fireworks. There's miracles. It's awesome. But what's the real purpose? Is this intimate and real and hard-earned relationship with God that comes from the avoda, from this divine service of Torah mitzvahs. And so, okay, so there's another proof text brought here about the centralness of Torah mitzvahs to Judaism. Sorry, of course, Torah mitzvah to Judaism, of Mashiach to Judaism. The Torah attests to his coming, stating, "And God your Lord will return you from captivity." This is in Devarim. This verse serves as a support for the central concept that Jews will be redeemed in the end of the days. And then, of course, we have Bilam's prophecy there. And so when we look at Bilam's prophecy, we can actually really understand who Mashiach is, and in contrast to King David, and that Mashiach is not coming to do something new. He's not coming to superimpose some new reality on the world, but he's coming to finish the job that's been started. He's coming to complete, to bring Shabbos to the world of our long 6 work days of the last few thousand years of creation. And what is this? Why is this so important to mention? Is because the Rambam is really big on the fact that Mashiach does not need to do miracles. What are the criteria for Mashiach, for someone to be Hesus Mashiach? They need to be absolutely true in Torah mitzvahs, in incredible depths and levels of Torah scholarship, to not veer from one halacha, completely Torah true within their own being. They need to bring the Jewish people to a place of Torah mitzvahs, not, God forbid, leading Jews astray or making things up. That's obviously just a false prophet. But actually strengthening and bolstering Torah mitzvahs in an incredible way. They need to wage the wars of Hashem. And if someone does all these things, right, then they are Hesus Mashiach. They can be presumed to be Mashiach. And the Rambam brings this, in the Sikha, it's brought this example of Bar Kokhba. So Bar Kokhba was Hesus Mashiach. He had all of these qualities. Totally true in his own Torah observance, to the highest of standards. Mahadran Shabbat Mahadran. You to go kosher pizza shop in Israel, you kosher the Mahadran. We want the extra super duper Chalav Yisrael situation here. This is the highest level of Torah observance and mitzvahs that Mashiach's holding by. Just to give a funny example. But we're talking about the deepest level of Torah scholarship. Bar Kokhba had that. He was bringing the Jewish people to tshuva, bolstering Torah mitzvahs, and he was waging the wars of Hashem. He was literally fighting the wars of Hashem. And so Rabbi Akiva believed and publicized that this was Mashiach. This was Hesus Mashiach. Now, obviously, Bar Kokhba was, he was killed. And if Mashiach dies, that's not a problem, according to the Rambam and the Gemara. But if he is killed, v'harog, right? He's killed by flesh and blood, then he's no longer could be Mashiach. So he wasn't Mashiach Vadai. He wasn't the absolute Mashiach, but he was a great candidate. He fit the requirements. He needs to come from the house of David and do all those things we just listed, and he had those things. And so what we're seeing here, as the Rambam was pointing out, is that did he do any miracles, Bar Kokhba? No. And yet Rabbi Akiva, who knew what he was talking about, knew that this person really could be Hesus Mashiach. He was a potential candidate for Mashiach. And so the idea of Mashiach, are there going to be miracles in times of Mashiach? So many sources support yes. Or even just the idea of the nature of the world being miraculous, meaning it says that every tree is going to bear fruit. But at the same time, the Rambam says there's going to be no miracles. But it's a very simple thing to solve once you see it, because the very nature of the world is that every tree bears fruit. In the Garden of Eden, every single tree had the potential to bear fruit. But because of Galus, right, because of the sin of of the Eitz Hadas, that Adam and Chava ate the fruit from the tree. So what happened is that the world doesn't get to express its full nature. The full nature of the world is health and abundance and wealth and connection and harchava and shefa, and every single tree bears fruit. Like, that's just the nature of the world. We don't even need to call it a miracle. Like, that is the true nature of the world getting to be expressed. Is that going to feel like a miracle? For sure. But in truth, that's just the true nature of the world. The true nature of the world was designed to be a garden, a place of connection and pleasure and delight, and a place where a relationship can flourish. Right? If you're designing a home, like, you put the kitchen like center, because like that's where you're going to spend all your time together. Like, you have the living room. Like, a whole home is designed for a place of connection, a place of intimacy, a place of, I want to spend time with you. You set the dinner table in a way that you can have eye contact with a person that you really want to see. Or even like, I remember Baruch Hashem designing our home, and like, I want to have the cooker thing, like the stovetop? Did I want to have it facing the wall in the kitchen, or did I want to have it in the island? And it was like, wait a second, if I have it in the island, then my husband could sit on the bar stool and we could talk while we cook. Or if he's cooking, I could sit on the bar stool also and look. Like, the whole house is designed for connection. If you ever experience designing a home, which everyone should be blessed to do, it's awesome, then challenging and awesome, that basically what happens is that you end up being like, oh, well, what's the best way to connect? And if you look at the mitzvahs of Shabbos candles, right? Why do we have the mitzvah of Shabbos candles? Because it's going to be dark, right? Shabbos candles is before electricity. It's going to be dark. And like, that's when the mitzvah was given. Like, in times of Har Sinai, there's no electricity. And so if it's dark, we're going to bump into each other. So how are we going to have a nice Shabbos meal? So how are we going to connect? We need light in order to not bump into each other and not get into fights. We need light in order to connect. The entire mitzvah of Shabbos candles is for Shalom Bayis. It's so that we can actually see each other and connect. And now that we have electricity, of course, we still want Shabbos candles, because what's better than a romantic Shabbos dinner with some Shabbos candles? It brings a higher spiritual quality of light into the home. But the point is that this world was designed for connection. Torah and mitzvahs is our access point to connection with God, right? It's like, imagine trying to throw a rope up into the air and trying to catch God. Like, we can't. But if Hashem sends a rope down and says, this is how you can connect to me, this is a cord that's within your soul, that as you activate this, we are one, okay, now we can have a relationship. And so the world is actually designed to support Torah and mitzvahs. And what Mashiach is that there's absolutely no hindrance of Torah and Mashiach. There's absolutely no hindrance of Torah and mitzvahs whatsoever. And I'm recording this on Yud Gimel Tammuz. And Yud Gimel Tammuz is all about the idea that the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe Re'atz, was able to go out of the deepest, darkest exile of Soviet Russia and leave this communist prison that no one ever left from. People just went there. If they went there, they died. And leave exile and actually have this level of personal geula. And that was the beginning of the downfall of Torah and mitzvahs being absolutely illegal in Russia, to the point that it actually became that the Russians themselves were actually helping Jews emigrate to Eretz Yisrael, and actually a place where Torah and mitzvahs can flourish. And so what is the definition of exile according to the Rambam? That Jewish people are constrained in our Torah and mitzvahs observance. What is the definition of geula according to the Rambam? That we are able in full force to be able to do Torah and mitzvahs. That is geula in the simplest sense. And geula shlema, Mashiach, is that we have a Beis Hamikdash and we're in our land and there's Jewish leadership and of Mashiach. And like, that's where the Rambam is bringing all these proof texts here. If you look in the inside of this idea of the three lands that the Hashem gives us a mitzvah to conquer. And this is a mitzvah we can only do in the times of Mashiach. Like, Hashem doesn't mess around. He doesn't give us a mitzvah just to tease. Like, there's going to be this Mashiach reality. In this Mashiach reality, we can go and take these lands they start with the Kitty, Kimoni. I don't know how to say them. I really should learn that. Okay, the Kini, Kenizi, and Kenmoni. That's my best shot there. Okay, these three lands that we're going to conquer, that we can only do in the times of Mashiach. And we're going to have the Beis Hamikdash, which means we're going to have this access point, this literally embassy between heaven and earth, like, here in this world, manifest, like, complete. And so what is Mashiach? It's the ability to be doing all the Torah mitzvahs, to be keeping Shemitah, the laws, the agricultural laws that only apply in the land of Israel. Like, Baruch Hashem, we're looking at a beautiful pomegranate tree here. And this tree came out of Orla. It's past, for sure, its 5th year. And these fruits went from a stage, and I got to see them go from this stage of, being forbidden to being in a place where I can bring these fruits. If there's a holy temple in Jerusalem, hop on the train. It's such an easy train ride from Herzliya to Jerusalem. Hop on the train with my fruits and go give Bikurim at the base of Mitash. Like, this is a reality that we are excited for. And I remember staying by a house that lived so close to the Temple Mount, and they had a little sheep because it was close to Pesach, and if suddenly we get access to Har HaBayis, to the Temple Mount, we can literally go and do the Pesach offering. And they were like, well, we need a sheep then. We're the closest house. What are we going to not have a sheep? Like, living with this reality and realizing that, like, what is so exciting about this reality is that we're going to get to Torah mitzvahs. And so what is the most worthwhile thing to be investing in right now is our relationship with Hashem. If davening is hard, which it really can feel that way sometimes, being able to be like, okay, well, this is what Mashiach is about, and I want Mashiach. So investing that time and energy of learning about what davening is, or setting ourselves up for success to have the expanse of time, or going to a class that talks about davening, or whatever mitzvah that we just feel disconnected with, whether it's sneas or I used to know that Shabbos candles were a nice idea, and I can't remember why. Like, reconnecting with the depths and the kavanah and the inner dimensions of what Torah and mitzvahs really is, one mitzvah at a time, really going into it and appreciating what this mitzvah is. Like, wow, what is Shabbos? Like, what are these 39 malachot of not doing things on Shabbos? And what kind of relationship is that inviting me into with Hashem? And, like, what is the depths here? And diving in, because Mashiach is not about a place of, like, oh, like, all my problems disappear. They will. But that's not what Mashiach's about. That's what the Alter Rebbe and the Rambam and the Rebbe are saying here. It's about loving Torah mitzvahs. It's about loving this relationship with Hashem and letting every single mitzvah feel like a wedding with Hashem. So Mazel Tov, it's your wedding day. Enjoy. And now we should go through the prophecy, and we can see a little bit more about what we're learning about Mashiach from this, okay? So a star shall go forth. I see him, but not now. Okay, so I'm going to do my best here. But it's really packed. So I see him, but not now. So we said that's referring to King David. I perceive him, but not in the near, like, not until later, until the near future. That refers to Mashiach. So this is talking about, ooh, help. Okay, I'm gonna look inside. Okay, Ostes, Yudbes. Okay, I see him, but not now, which refers to David, King David. I perceive him, but not in the near future, refers to Mashiach. The words Arenu, I see him, and Sharenu, I perceive him, indicate that this phrase is a prophecy concerning David and Mashiach themselves. So meaning this is talking about them and their Torah scholarship. Meaning it's not talking about Mashiach in terms of what he's going to do for the world. He's talking about Mashiach in terms of who he is. So meaning the level of, like, Torah scholarship of King David is, like, not to be joked about. Like, woke up every single night and, like, went to the words of Torah and created the Psalms and was, like, in his avodas Hashem, like, next level. But Mashiach's even more next level. Like, Mashiach is coming to pick up the work that King David did. Because what was King David doing? He was running a Jewish kingdom. We were living in our land, keeping Torah mitzvahs, b'shleimus, in its fullness. And Mashiach is coming to bring that to a point where we're there, but it's not just we're back. We're in it in its fullest sense, because it's not discontinued. There's nothing that can mess with that in any way. There's nothing that can hinder our ability to do Torah and mitzvahs, not inwardly and not outwardly. So that's talking about the level of Mashiach himself, who he is as a person. So the next point from Bilam's prophecy, he will compel all of Israel to walk in the ways of the Torah and repair the breaches in its observance. Refers to the activity of King David and Mashiach among the Jewish people and the sovereignty over them, which is explicitly indicated by the continuation of the verse. A star shall go forth from Yaakov, so this is referring to King David. A star shall rise out from Israel, referring to Mashiach. A staff. So the idea of a star, right? So a star is something that's very far, very lofty, versus a staff is something, like, very real and, like, visceral in that way. Saying the star and the staff will emerge from Yaakov and from Yisrael. So Yaakov, right, we know is the Jewish people's name in, like, a less perfected state, and Yisrael is the Jewish people in our most exalted state. So this reflects to the nature of the connection between between these rulers and the Jewish people. So meaning, are we going to have a connection that's like, whoa, like the king is so lofty and like it's far, right? Like the stars, or is it going to be like the staff? And so this idea that King David like inspired us in this way of like exaltedness, like whoa, like he's in the stars, you know? But Mashiach is going to inspire us in this way of like staff, like empowerment, like something you can hold in your hand. And this idea of like really activating our own inner spark of Mashiach here and now. And it's not something like, wow, someone's going to save us and bring us to the starry place. Like, grab your staff of empowerment. Like, Mashiach is a type of leadership that makes you a leader. Mashiach is a type of energy that activates your inner redeemer. These phrases also reflect the perfection of Mashiach. The ultimate anointed king will attain over his advantage over King David. Right? So if we're always going higher and higher in holiness. So however great that era was, this is beyond. The first anointed king was King David. And King David is described with the analogy of a star. Something that exalted and elevated above the people at large. Versus Mashiach is going to lead us in a very like personable way, which is more described by the staff. Okay, so the third point mentioned by the Rambam is he will fight the wars of God, right? So that's one of the qualifications of someone being the potential Mashiach. And succeeding in the above, vanquishing all the nations surrounding him, is alluded to in the verse as the Rambam states initially. He shall crush Moab's princes. So this is from Bilam's prophecy. So this refers to King David. As is written, he struck down Moab and measured them with a cord. But then when it refers to Mashiach fighting nations, he shall break down all of Seth's descendants. This refers to King Mashiach, about whom is written, he will rule from sea to sea. So here you see the superiority of the prophecy referring to Mashiach. In relation to the fact that, like, David's just merely crushing them, while like he's crushing Moab, while Mashiach described as breaking that down. Right? So the idea of like crushing something versus like actually like making it in a place that there's no longer anyone to argue with. Like we're going to a place beyond tests, beyond, okay, we have a victory, but then they come back. We're going beyond any gullus ever again. So this idea of like the princes of Moab, right? The princes of Moab were crushed. So maybe the leadership was crushed. But Mashiach will conquer all of Seth's descendants, right? So this means establishing his dominion over all the nations. And specifically, it's like, what type of leadership is this? Like, what is Mashiach's role? Is Mashiach just like, like has the biggest weapons? Like, is this type of authority that's just like, so we know for sure that it's saying this is a rule of like King David was able to crush the Moabites, but he didn't conquer the whole world. And we're saying Mashiach conquers the world from sea to sea. Like, this is the type of leadership. But what type of leadership is this? Is it a leadership of like a dictatorship, or is this a kingship? And so ultimately we're going to say this is a true kingship, which is where it comes from the people. The people themselves of the world want true leadership. And boy, do we want that. All right, so Edom will become an inheritance. This refers to David. As written, Edom became the servants of David. But in contrast, his enemy Seir will become Israel's inheritance. Okay? This refers to King Mashiach, as written, liberators will ascend Mount Zion. So here's also the superiority of Mashiach can be understood. The inheritance of Edom by David is expressed merely in the fact that Edom becomes the servants of David. However, the inheritance of Seir by Mashiach will not only affect the people of the city, as the Rambam says, liberators will ascend Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esav, which concludes with some sovereignty will be God's, aka Mashiach will enable God's kingship to encompass all of humanity. So this idea of an inheritance, right? Inheritance is something that's close to you. It's something that, in a sense, was always yours and became yours truly. And so really the true leadership belongs to the one who Hashem anoints. Hashem is the leader of the world. Hashem is the creator of the world. He gets to choose who the true leader is. And it's the idea that the world is actually going to be asking for this level of leadership. The world is going to want Hashem to rule over the world. Hashem was, Hashem is, Hashem will be, Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Melech Olam Ed, Hashem reigned, Hashem is the king. And what is the idea of a king Mashiach? Is that king reflects the true sovereignty and high. The king Mashiach reflects the true godliness of the king of the world, right? It's never about, in maybe like in a secular sense of a king, it's all about the ego and power. And what we're saying here is like, no, this is about God's sovereignty. Like Hashem's going to reign from sea to sea. And that's going to be embodied in the person Hashem anoints and chooses to guide his people and to guide the world to a place of that intimate relationship with God through Torah and mitzvahs. And of course, the nations have mitzvahs also, right? The 7 mitzvahs. That this world is going to be a garden where every single human being in this world can connect in this very deep and real way. And so ultimately, what we're really saying here is that the most powerful and real thing is our relationship with God, and the way that God has outlined this path to relationship through Torah and mitzvahs, and putting our own unique love and energy and effort into it, and being able to put a love note inside of our tefillah for Hashem, put a love note inside of our Shabbos candles, put that extra hug in our giving of tzedakah, really put ourselves into the Torah mitzvahs, because that is what we're so excited for. That's what Mashiach's about. A world that's an environment that invites connection with our Creator versus exile, which is an environment that fights our relationship with our Creator. And so just next time you're really having that that delicious moment with Hashem, where you're just I love Hashem, and Hashem loves me, and you're feeling it, and you're feeling Torah mitzvahs, allow that to rev you up and get excited about Mashiach. It's wow, I'm going to have this all the time. Hashem is going to be the only story in town. God's going viral. God is reigning from sea to sea. And the true leadership is going to be here and promoting this relationship and inviting me to my relationship with Hashem. Versus Galus is where the world is asking us to step outside of that relationship and focus on its demands of us. But of course, as Jews, the first thing we do in the morning is wake up and we daven. Right? It's not about what the world's asking from us. It's about our relationship with Hashem. And only then do we go into our divine service of being in the world, each in our own way. And so the more Torah mitzvahs become exciting, the more Mashiach becomes exciting. And really the idea of going to all these texts, and I invite you to go in for yourself, because as you can tell, it is packed. So much more in there that we didn't even touch on. But being able to really the more we fill our mind, and sometimes honestly hurt my to reconstruct my mind, to wrap my head around this, the more we're fueling our minds with the knowledge of Torah and mitzvah, the knowledge of Mashiach, the more it creates a desire for Mashiach. It's this is awesome, but I don't want to just be talking about it. I want to experience this. I don't want this to just be a concept. I want my eyes to actually see this. And in this week's Devar Malchus, it finishes off with the Rebbe saying, the best way to bring Mashiach is to talk about Mashiach, to learn about it, but let's just have it already. Let's just be in this ultimate reality. And so looking forward to celebrating Mashiach here and now with all of you. And thank you for taking the time, Kol Kavod, for taking 32 minutes, Gematria Lev, to tap into your love for Hashem and Mashiach and the true glory that this world can reveal of God. Thank you so much.